How to keep a balance between taking life seriously by seeing that it's, first of all, like the fact that it's God's divine matrix, it's a game, it's a simulation. But understanding the rules of the game and understanding that your eternal future is going to be determined through how you like perceive this world and understand it, and how you act in it. So your actions are recorded. So it becomes serious in that fashion. But when you busy yourself, you've got your tahajjud, you got your dhikr, you got 90% of the ummah's not even praying salah. It's like, brother, I have a hard time waking up for Fajr. Of course, you're playing Twitch and you're on your Nintendo and your PlayStations till 3 in the morning. You want to wake up at 5 to pray Fajr? Cut me some slack here. I sleep whenever I want. I do whatever I want. And somehow I want all this to work out for me. Look at the lives of the companions and how they were. So no, Osama did not say to stop taking meds. Osama said that you need to understand the root cause of the issue. Okay, that's what Osama is saying. And then slowly, if Allah cures you, then you won't need the meds. But most people are suffering from these mental health conditions because Allah is making them suffer, ultimately, to bring them back to His deen. Most people are so far from the religion. They have all these problems in their lives. And it's kind of like you walk in a room and the room is dark. And you're looking for your keys. But you're looking in all the wrong places. Why are you looking? Because your keys are basically where the light is not shining. But you're only looking at where there's light. You're not realizing it's hidden right there. So sometimes everybody's trying, you walk into a room that's dark and you take out your sword and you're trying to get rid of the darkness with your sword. You can swing all you want, be the strongest man in the world. All you need is to turn on the light. Darkness is the absence of light. Some Sufis used to believe that there is no such thing as darkness, that it is just the absence of light. And there's difference of opinion on the matter. Needed this live, Sheikh. Wow. Okay, I'm glad you had. I'm glad you found it to be wow, inshallah. Let's examine our actual experience of time. We'll soon see that time is a useful illusion. Have you ever had an experience in the past? I kind of went through all this just naturally, without reading it from the book, but really quickly, we definitely had many thoughts of the past, but even those thoughts, when we experienced them, we experienced in the present moment. Your actual experience of the world is always in the now or the present moment. In fact, the breakfast yesterday or this morning, when you actually had it, the time was now. The dinner we will have tonight or the next, when we have it, it will be now. The experience manifests and then disappears. Our access to that experience is now limited to memory. But we're not talking about our thoughts, memory, or imagination. We're talking about our actual experience. Have you ever had an actual experience in the past? Has anyone ever had an experience in the past? Has anyone ever experienced the future? Why do you think that when you're really anxious to get something, I ordered this thing on Amazon and it was like prime delivery, bro. So it's gonna arrive in like 48 hours, man, because I've got like Amazon Prime, bro. And then he orders it. He's like really anxious to, can't wait till I get it. Can't wait till I get it. Can't wait till I get it. Check the mail. Did it arrive yet? Check the app. Orders. Is it here yet? No. It's out for delivery. That line's not moving. It needs to move. You're just sitting there. You're like a crack. Taking up heroin, you're like all up in your head, right? And then the bottom line is what? You finally get it. The package arrived. Take out the knife. And you open it up. And what do you find? There it is. And then there's this immense sense of just like relief. And you think like, I'm so happy right now because I finally got what I wanted. That's not why you're happy. You're happy because all this time that you were waiting to get that thing, there was a lot of resistance in your head. There was a lot of, you didn't want to be here and now. You couldn't, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? When is it going to come? Your mind is just rushing, right? You have this anxiety. You're excited to get it. And then finally, when you get it, so the mind just... And you dip into the now, because the now is the absence of resistance to what is. And when you're constantly in your head, you're not in the now, you're in the construct of past or construct of future, memory and imagination. And you're a ping pong ball between those two. So that's what builds anxiety. But when you're anchored in the moment because you finally got what you wanted, that relief is the release of tension, of resistance to what is, because you no longer need to resist the now, because here it is. And you dip into infinity, and that happiness is best you returning to your true nature. You understand? So that's why do you think time passes really fast when you enjoy what you're doing? Because you're like, your attention is kind of brought into the thing at hand. So you love to fix things. You're a jeweler, and as you're working and like really enjoying your craft, so your attention is brought into the now, and you're no longer worried about what's coming, or reminiscing about the past, or you're like, you're fully here and now. So when you're fully here and now, there's no mind activity as much. And when you're not plugged into the matrix, what do you think unplugging from the matrix means? Living in the now means being your true self. And so when you unplug from the matrix and you're here and now, you're in the present moment. So you time travel, so to speak. You're beyond time. And so you're like, oh, where did that hour go? But when you're just like, I don't want to be here. You're sitting in classroom. Remember those school years? I'm like, when is this class going to fit? Because you're up in here. So time feels like it's like really, really slow. And the hour feels like ages. See how it works? So if you want to, like, what is dhikr? Dhikr is being, presence, remembrance. But what are you remembering? That remembrance of, like wait a second. I am the ruh. So rather than like you're sitting there and you're like, when you're in a true state of remembrance and you're anchored in the present moment, if you have access to what? It's a window unto the divine. You feel serenity. Ala bi dhikrillah. Ala bi dhikrillah. Also here could mean in the state of presence. Tatma'innul qulub. The hearts find tranquility. They find peace. Because as-salam is here and now. Oof. So it's really hard being somewhere you don't want to be, and really easy being somewhere you want to be. Life takes a completely different spin, So, have you ever had an experience in the past? No. Has anyone ever had an experience in the past? No. Has anyone ever experienced the future? No. Or is it simply a thought in the form of imagination that is also unfolding now? Any experience we have is fleeting or perishing. Its very nature is that it comes and it goes. It never remains. Like they say, it too shall pass, right? You've heard that saying. What I'm saying here is that time is a meaningful and useful illusion. We only experience the present now. And by the way, another trippy thing for another day is that experience is always one. Experience is never dual. That my hand on the mic is not, it's my mind that labels duality, subject, object, my hand on the mic. But if you remove the senses from it, then all there is just a vibration, which is basically awareness. All of it is one. And again, another hint at the now and the time and the mind is when you're in deep sleep, you don't feel time. And it's not a coincidence that when you fall into deep sleep, you no longer experience time. You look at the clock, it's midnight, you go to sleep, you wake up, you look at the clock, it's 6 a.m., but you didn't dream at all. You were in deep sleep the whole time, assuming. You wake up and if it's like, how long were you sleeping? Like a moment. But you look and it's like 6 hours pass. You're like, whoa. Because the mind in deep sleep is not there to register the experience. So what all you are at that point is ruh. يَتَوَفَّى الْأَنفُسَ. There's no longer mind. The nafs is the mind. So, subhanallah. So when you're waking state, there's thinking and perceiving. And then when you fall asleep, there's thinking without perceiving. So you're one layer closer to your true self, ruh. But there's still dreams. So you feel time to some degree, right? But it bends in dreams. It's not the same as when you're waking. And then when you go into deep sleep, thinking or imagination is removed. So when without thinking and perceiving, there's without mind, what's left? Mind is khalq, is creation. The amr of Allah. And so the mind is not there to register. So, but then when the mind's not there, you wake up, you're like, I didn't experience time because mind wasn't there. It's mind that registers time. It's the movement of thought. With every thought, time is created. So when you're in a state of deep sleep, first thing is you think, oh, I wasn't there. There's a absence of awareness. Rupert Spira says this best. He says it's not an absence of awareness, it's an awareness of absence. What is aware of itself? Awareness, ruh. But there's no mind to register experience, form. So that's another hint at it. So as long as your mind is heavily active and you're engaging it, there's that illusion of time. So what is the matrix? The matrix is mind, when you define mind as thinking and perceiving. So the activity or movement of mind is that what I'm saying here is that time is a meaningful and useful illusion. We only experience the present, now. Time is born at every instance that our minds are active. Time, and here this is a beautiful quote from Rupert Spira, he says, time is what eternity looks like when filtered through thought. Time is what eternity looks like when filtered through thought. The activity or movement of the mind creates the illusion of time. What is the mind? The mind is not the container of our thoughts and perceptions. The mind is our thoughts and perceptions. So every time we have a thought, time is born. Time is the matrix, and matrix is God's testing field. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. Remember this verse? الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. He who created time, death and life, to test you, which of you is best in conduct. Death is a symbol for the end of something, just as life is the symbol for the beginning of something. Something with a beginning and an end is in time. Allah is saying He created time to test us. Who is best amongst us in conduct? And if time is born every time we have a thought, a feeling, or a perception is a mistake here. Perception is not born time is not born through perception. Space is born through perception. Then time is born whenever we have an experience. Time is, by its nature, human experience. Jazakillah khair, Ukhti Manal. Thank you for your generous contribution. Barakallah fiki. Jazakallah khair, brother. May Allah grant you and everyone watching this now and in the future Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen, ya Ukhti. Ameen. Thank you so much. Barakallah fiki. Ameen, ameen, ya Rabb. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the same. Allahu Akbar. Always very, mashallah, generous. I don't think there's been a live where she hasn't given something. May Allah reward her. Okay. But this is not, nobody has to give. This is the optional through this. You get excited about something, you want to donate something, alhamdulillah. You don't, it's all good, inshallah. Okay, so but if experiences have a beginning and an end, what is it that observes or witnesses those experiences? Ruh. Are we the witnesses of our own experiences? When a thought appears, that same thought eventually disappears. So if you were your thought, every time a thought left you, a piece of you would go with it. It just doesn't make sense. Because you always feel I am, right? When a thought appears, that same thought eventually disappears and is replaced with another thought. Do we disappear with the first thought? Is it our experience that we witness a thought when it appears and then lose ourselves when the thought disappears? Or is it our experience that we're always there, witnessing the events as they rise and fall? Experiences come and go, but do we come and go with them? When we experience thoughts, we separate ourselves. So I'm talking about I, the ruh, the witnessing presence, not I, the body mind. You have to distinguish, otherwise you'll be confused. Experiences come and go, but do we, the ruh, come and go with them? When we experience thoughts, we separate ourselves from the rising thoughts by saying something like, I thought that you were coming tonight, or I thought that you cared about me. There is an I that thinks. This I can't be the thought itself because it claims ownership of the thought. There's space there, right? There is the thought and the I that had it. This means we cannot be our thoughts. We are that which witnesses or observes thought. عالم الغيب والشهادة, the witnessing. What about our physical bodies? Are we our bodies? Let's examine that thought for a minute. When our heads or bodies hurt, we say things like, my head hurts, or my body aches. Something is claiming ownership of the body. When we say my head, we're saying the head belongs to us. So it follows that we can't be our heads or our bodies. Let's repeat this thought process with our feelings. We find ourselves saying things like, I feel hungry, or I feel tired. Something is claiming ownership of our sensations or feelings. The hunger or fatigue belongs to the I that claims it. Hence, it follows that we are not our feelings. That which experiences thoughts, feelings, and perceptions doesn't end every time a feeling, thought, or perception comes to an end. That which witnesses experience is always there. Even in deep sleep, when mind activity comes to a halt, something is aware of the fact that time wasn't present. So what is it that's aware of experience that comes and goes, aware of time that comes and goes, but itself doesn't come and go? It never comes to an end. It's not born, and it never ends, because it's God's command, the ruh. It's everlasting, but not in time, for it is not limited by time. Because everlasting gives the notion that it's like within time, but no. Ever present, everlasting just is not limited by time. What does it sound like I'm describing here? If it sounds like Allah's attributes, then keep reading. There's a hadith Qudsi that is often misinterpreted. It states, عن أبي هريرة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تسبوا الدهر فإن الله هو الدهر. It's a hadith that says, qalb is the battleground between nafs and ruh, and people that, the thing is, Brother Wisdom, sorry if I'm, crucifying your name here, but like, they're all the same thing, bro. Everything is a modulation of ruh. The nafs is what the ruh is when it's experienced as the body mind. Aqil when it's directed towards intelligibles. The form, khalq, is just that, an appearance. The reality of it is God's amr, the ruh. The ruh, so to speak, modulates, vibrates as body-mind. So it appears as body-mind, but the wave is not separate from the ocean. You can't say the wave is an expression of the ocean. They're both made from the same water. Right? So careful when you say qalb is the... Yes, and if you know what you're talking about, there's a place for these terms. Qalb, and read Allahu nuru samawati wal ard mathalu nurihi kamishkatin fiha misbah al misbahu fi zujaja. So there's a play of God's light, that a sort of a prism that refracts that light to give the colors of, experience. But the nur of Allah is colorless. So here, Abu Hurairah reports that Rasulullah ﷺ said, do not curse time, for it is Allah who is time. In Sahih Muslim, the word dahr in Arabic, though often translated as time, is not time. Zaman or waqt is time. Dahr is the present moment. It is the infinite now. It is 1 over time, as time or t, we want time to approach 0 because there's no time. So what's 1 over something approaching 0? Meaning as the denominator is getting infinitely smaller and smaller and smaller, what will happen to the whole number? When you divide something by a number, and that number you're dividing it by is getting smaller and smaller, the smaller the denominator, the bigger the result. So if the denominator is getting infinitesimally small, then the whole the answer is approaching infinity. So, I mean, as an engineer and anybody that studied calculus, exactly. But for some people, this might be like a bit too much. Forgive me, but we have to go through it. That's why I give the warning that this section is deep. So for some people, it's going to be like they just unlocked their heaven, you know. For some people, it's like, it's too much, man. I feel like I'm just like stoned after this section. It is the infinite now. It is 1 over time as time or t approaches 0. When time is there, meaning the ego or mind is active with experience, the value for time is 1. And so 1 over 1 equals 1, which is the egocentric I. The less we are caught up in experience, the faster time begins to approach 0. The faster we approach infinity, the less we are caught up in experience, the less you're letting what's happening to you in life bother you and get to you, the faster time begins to approach 0, meaning the faster it comes to an end. And the faster we approach infinity, okay, jump onto YouTube before I'm almost done, I'm wrapping up. But please jump onto YouTube if this Instagram comes to an end, okay? It says, the less we're caught up in experience, the faster time begins to approach 0, meaning the faster time comes to an end, because you're less caught up with mind activity, the ruh, so to speak. So the faster we approach infinity, or the nearer we feel to Allah. Because it's the ego mind that stands between you and God. When you're less caught up with the thoughts in your head, you're more present. And who's here and now? وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. We are closer to Him than His own self, Allah says. The jugular vein that supplies blood is basically your lifeline. So if Allah is saying, I'm closer to you than your own lifeline, so you're getting in God's way, basically. You want to be God's medium to shine in the world. So how do you do that? You polish your mirror. The mirror has to be transparent to reflect God's light. Otherwise, every time you sin, a black spot appears on the heart, the Prophet ﷺ said, meaning your heart becomes less and less able to transmit that light because it won't reflect it. Because what will a black mirror reflect? What kind of light will it reflect? So you've got to polish it with dhikr and removing haram from your life. So these people that just want to be present and close to Allah, yeah, sure, Allah might give you glimpses to that reality, but to be stationed in a state of presence, you're not going to achieve that while your life is filled with haram. But it's not the end of the world. Don't jump off of a bridge or something. Like, make tawbah, start to slowly, fix things one by one from your life, and inshallah you'll see the difference before you know it, right? Brother making me feel trippy and guilty. Just, don't know what to tell you. So let's wrap up. So infinity, Allah is the infinite witnessing presence. Allah is the dahr. Allah is the eternal now, His amr. How else could He be closer to us than ourselves? The now is not an infinitesimal unit of time, and there is not a series of moments. The now is timeless, and there is only one moment in which all experience manifests. Think of Allah as the infinite witnessing canvas of experience. The images and drawings on the canvas are experiences. Experience is simply the coloring of the canvas. Another way to think about this is as an infinite screen. The movie on the screen is never in parts. It's the movie on the screen that appears in form and multiplicity, and it seems to be divided. There's no divisions in the screen itself. It just takes on the coloring of the pixels, basically. Give the movie its appearance, but there's no reality to the movie, just like there's no reality to your body mind. Just like the screen is the reality of the movie, the ruh is the reality of your khalq, your form. All you find is one indivisible screen that momentarily takes on the shape of all these different images on the movie. All there is to experience is the screen. You can't say that the movie is separate from the screen. The movie doesn't exist apart from the screen on which it plays or stand out from the screen. The word exist in Latin means to stand out from. Rupert Spira mentions this as well. The movie is simply the coloring of the screen, yet the experience of the movie cannot exist without the screen. In the same way, the world doesn't stand out from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't have real existence. The world is the activity or the act of Allah. Dunya is God's motion picture. Who wants some tickets? هذا خلق الله أي هذا فعل الله فأروني ماذا خلق الذين من دونه بل الظالمون في ضلال مبين. This is Allah's creation. Now show me what those gods other than Him have created. In fact, the wrongdoers are clearly astray. Imam Ghazali says هذا خلق الله means هذا فعل الله, meaning all the created realm is the act of Allah. So if Allah is the witnessing presence, if He is the witnessing eye, then what am I? Am I Allah? Astaghfirullah. We are not one with God. Listen, because this is where most people drop it. And they start talking about oneness of being and they don't get what they're talking about. They just want to sound smart. Okay? Listen. You are not God. You're not there in reality. You have no existence. You subsist. So we are not the nafs. The nafs is what I'm talking about. Astaghfirullah. We are not one with God, and we are definitely not God. In the full spectrum of reality, we're not really there. We don't exist. There is no spoon. Neo. We don't exist. We simply subsist through Allah. We are through God's command. We are the action of Allah, the act, the fi'l, the khalq. It is critically important that we do not mix the essence of Allah with His actions. Allah is not the created realm, but the created realm is made from His command, kun, be. He can neither be bounded by nor limited by any of His creations. Time and space are His creations, and He subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond space and time. Time is what eternity looks like when it is viewed through the lens of the finite mind, and space is what infinity looks like when it's viewed through the lens of the finite mind. Remove the mind and you're left with the presence of God. To borrow a concept from the domain of electricity and electronics, think of the mind as a resistor and the presence of Allah as current. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. I equals V over R. Current equals voltage over resistance. The higher the resistance, mind, the lower the current. The lower the resistance, the more we can sense the presence of Allah. What are you resisting or not resisting? The present moment, the now. Why is the mind resisting it? It doesn't like it because it can't access it, because the mind is a construct of past and future. It can't grab the now. The minute it tries to, it's trapped in time. To experience the now, we need to stop traveling in time and be present. Before you start thinking this is all woo-woo, new age spirituality stuff, here, what on earth? Time travel? We thought that was impossible. I assure you, time travel is not impossible. Allah knows best, but in my opinion, we're time traveling every single day. Every time we drift in thought, we're traveling in time. We're lost in the wormhole of time. Through dhikr or remembrance, we snap out of our minds or out of time. It helps to think of time as experience and the now or the timeless present moment as the recording witness of our responses to experience. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. And He, capital H, is with you wherever you are. In time, a thought appears, and that thought has the potential to instigate an action with a particular intention. Good intentions can yield righteous actions, while bad intentions can yield devious actions. The moment we make a good intention to act upon a thought and or act upon that thought, our intention and action are recorded in our book of deeds called Kitab. Kitab. Allah is keeping tabs on you. Kitab. Allah is keeping tabs on you, which keeps tabs on us. If the moment is timeless and the past and the present are just an illusion and all experience unfolds here and now, then it's not really how we spend our time on this earth that matters, but rather how we respond to the experiences that Allah downloads or generates. Tanzeel, Allah says, Tanzeelun min, Tanzeel, downloaded from. The experiences are downloaded, the ayat, the dhikrul hakim, downloads or generates in our minds. The downloads of experience are of two types: experiences that are from Allah to us and those that are from Allah in us. We can't, and let's finish up with this paragraph, we can't control what's from Allah to us or what's from Allah in us. Examples of things that are from Allah to us include the family we're born into or the car crash that left us severely injured. What's from Allah in us are things like our heart pumping or our liver functioning. We have no control over any of those things, neither the things from Allah to us nor from Allah in us. But now, what we will be questioned are al-af'al al-ikhtiyariyah, laysa al-ijbariyah. That we will be questioned about are our uploads. The actions that are from us to Allah. Things like whether we decide to pray or not, and whether we fasted or not, or whether we lied to our bosses or not, or whether we lied to our wives or not, which is permissible, by the way. Every man, you should note this down, you are allowed to lie to your wife in certain instances, but you should learn, it doesn't mean you lie and deceive her. When she wears that beautiful dress and comes to you and says, "How do I look?" Don't tell her she looks like a garbage can here. You tell her she looks incredible. Even if she looks bad, you never tell her she looks bad. This you're allowed to lie on, okay? Taban, you should do it in a way where it's genuine and hada, but like I'm being a bit facetious and exaggerating a bit to make the point. But ultimately, there are times where you're allowed to lie. Because women are more emotional than men, so you have to kind of guard those emotions. And of course, I know all the feminists in you are like, well, do we get to lie to the men too? I don't know, ask your local scholar, see what he tells you about that. I'm sure there are times where you shouldn't also break your man's heart, like the lady that asked me for crying out loud on Instagram. My husband I discovered, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, I discovered that he uses the super blue pill, the V word, right? And should I let him know that I'm in on his secret? And I said something to the effect that basically, don't break his ego. Poor guy, you're not really lying, but you don't have to go and tell him that you know. The guy, I said something to the effect like if he thinks he's a Ferrari, but he needed a little bit of an engine boost or something like that, let the guy, turn on the nitrous oxide. It's all good, inshallah. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Things like whether we prayed or not, downloads. Good uploads often lead to favorable downloads or circumstances from Allah, while poor uploads often lead to unfavorable downloads or circumstances from Allah. Let's stop there, inshallah ta'ala. So we stopped at, can someone record this? Sister Manal, I'm going to ask you because you're mashallah, you're always attending the classes and taking notes and stuff. Page 133, inshallah ta'ala. Page 133, the uploads and downloads of destiny, where we're talking about the black mirror and qadar and destiny. I'll go deep into destiny because most people really don't understand how that works. They think they do. Brother, if Allah decided on everything, why am I being put on hell? Who told you? There are things the decisions that you're going to make, that you're going to be held accountable for. But I'll get into the details later, inshallah.